What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Awakening World. I'm Love Coach Scott Catamas, and we have a great topic tonight, and we really want to hear from all of you. So the topic is, drum roll please, multi-dimensional reality. And we want to know, what are some of the experiences you've had? Past life recall, visions of the future? How about parallel universes? Have you ever stepped into an alternate reality, an alternate Earth? This is something I've been aware of for a really long time. And now the Marvel Cinematic Universe is making it all famous and popular. But we're going to bring on, we've got a great group of people with us tonight, presenters, all of whom are quite experienced at multidimensional reality. And so we're going to learn about their multidimensional experiences, how to work with it, do's, don'ts, all that sort of thing. And so for this, I invited back Mirabai Devi, who of course has been on the show many, many times. And actually the show was inspired when I met Denea on a Soul Search collaboration. And I realized, oh, she's a multidimensional gal. And I realized, let's do something about that. So that was quite wonderful. But we're also going to hear from myself, because I'm a multidimensional guy. So I'm going to talk a little bit more than usual. And our beloved DeArah is going to be with us. She is also quite the multidimensional goddess. A little bit later, when Desirea joins us. And first and foremost, the man who, through his multidimensional self, channels the extraordinary musical artist known as Omashar.
Well, formerly known as Omashar, because as I take on my multi-dimensional self more and more, the human part of me starts wondering, so who am I? And is this really real? Because I really feel, especially as we've just come through the Lion's Gate and coming up to full moon, and I'm feeling quite expanded, but I'm starting to realize that there are other aspects of myself, and all I have to do is shut up and get out of the way, and they can speak to me, and I can learn how to recommunicate with them. And so that is, I think, a miracle, which is a lead into this song, which is called The Miracle. And I'd like to welcome all of our viewers on Facebook and YouTube and our streaming partners. Thank you so much for joining us, because it does take a village, and this village is the awakening world, and the village is Mother Earth, of course, as you can see behind me. So I'm just going to change a mic source. That's not tomato sauce, it's a microphone source. This one here. And yes.
I've changed like a butterfly. It's something very new. I'm feeling so alive, and yes, it's true. Nothing is the same. I'm bigger than before. And yet I know that I am still a child without a care in this new world. I'm so connected to you. An innocent new life, a heart so true. A dream that seems so far away is living here in me, freeing all the pain that paved the way. Opened up the door, and now I know that I am still a child without a care in this new world, and so connected to you. An innocent new life, a heart so true. Nothing's like before. My mind is now at peace. No need to know the way. And yes, I'm glad that I am still a child without a care in this new world, and so connected to you. An innocent new life, a heart so true. I'm still a child without a care in this new world, and so connected to you. I'm innocent and deep and pure and true.
Let's send lots and lots of love and appreciation to that child of the universe, Omashar.
That we it's funny, I get so this is the multidimensional self thing, because these songs are written through me, and sometimes the spirit that wrote it through me kind of embodies and I sometimes forget that I'm in my body, and so I didn't quite know how to end that song, so I just did. And yeah, I kind of get into the stream of it, and I get pulled out, and so I'm learning now how to ground and be present and speak from my multidimensional self. And I know two of our guests tonight are absolute top shelf experts at that, so hopefully I can glean some knowledge right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to hearing from Denea and Mirabai, and we're going to bring them up in just a moment. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually share with you my very first multidimensional experience. And I'm hoping this is going to inspire certainly Denea and Mirabai to share maybe their first experience, but also those of you in our Zoom room to share, at least in the chat box. So the scene is, I'm 21 years old, and at the time, I had a girlfriend named Bonnie, and I had an artistic director. I had a professional theater company. At that point, we had 85 full-time employees. I was very entrepreneurial. It was my company that I ran. my girlfriend was named Bonnie, and my artistic director was a woman named DeArah. And DeArah and I were never lovers, but we were very close and definitely colleagues, deep colleagues. I was the father of the company, and she was the mother of the theater company in many ways. So one morning around 5:30 in the morning, I woke up early, and it was like kind of that sun hadn't quite come up yet, but there was enough light in the room. It was that kind of magical time. And I was in my house, I was in my room, but there were different things on the wall. There were different posters and different, that kind of really woke me up. I was like, what's that all doing there? And then I looked next to me because Bonnie had gone to bed with me the night before. But it wasn't Bonnie who was in bed with me. It was DeArah. And now, mind you, I'm 21 years old. I've read Autobiography of a Yogi. I'm a little bit, I've read some Seth material, but still, I mean, I'm new to a lot of this stuff, and it's just scared the crap out of me. And I can remember thinking I had to get back to sleep before DeArah woke up, or else I would be forever in this reality. And I was wide awake. Believe me, I was wide awake. And it was one of those things where I'm like trying to will myself to sleep, and then I'm looking, oh my God, it's still Deb in the bed with me. Gotta go to sleep, gotta go to sleep. Well, somehow I did get back to sleep. I woke up, Bonnie was in the bed with me. But after that, I had a series of lucid dreams in which, instead of going in the direction of creating my theater company, I went into the direction of becoming a professional actor. And in the professional actor life, DeArah was my girlfriend. Whereas in this reality, I gave up acting to do the theater company, and DeArah was my artistic director. Now, this sent me off on reading books and learning about parallel universes and alternate realities. And these dreams, well, the last thing I'll say is my success in my lucid dreams as an actor almost completely paralleled my success as my theater company, and then eventually we were doing television shows, also grew and expanded. There was like this very interesting parallel. So that's my story, and I'm really eager to hear Denea and Mirabai's story. And I'm going to call on Mirabai first because she's been on the show a little bit more. So welcome to Back to the Awakening World, Mirabai. And she's coming to us from New England, where she's been teaching at Kripalu and leading workshops every weekend. And Mirabai, I want to hear what you'd like to share.
Thank you so much, Scott. That was a wild story. I would say that there's three stories that jump to my mind immediately, and they kind of around a similar period of time. The first one that popped into my mind when you asked the question was, I was 21 years old. I was working in a restaurant to save the money to go to India, to live in ashrams, to study with spiritual masters. And I had an accident and an injury as a waitress in the restaurant. And somehow or the other, I managed to drive myself home. And I was in a lot of pain. I knew that I didn't want to go to the hospital. I didn't want to go to a doctor. It was late at night. And I was going to go into some kind of a self-healing state or experience. And I guess I fell asleep, but I had a very, very lucid experience, which I, to this day, would say was an astral projection, but not a dream, where I came up out of my body and I looked down on my body laying on the bed and I said, is that me? I'm not my body. And I was connected to my body by a rainbow bridge. Of course, I saw the silver cord. I saw this rainbow bridge, and I heard the angelic realms singing the most beautiful voices all around me in harmonies. And it was exquisite. And I was in bliss and ecstasy. And the next morning, the injury was gone. The pain was gone. My body was perfect. And that was one of my first self miracle healing stories. And I'll just lead on from there to saying that I had an experience where, as many of you have, I read Autobiography of a Yogi at the beginning of my 22nd year, which led me to India and living in great ashrams and meeting divine avatars. And I went to sleep one night. I was at the beginning of my 22nd year, and I went to sleep one night thinking about Maha Avatar Babaji. And the next thing I knew, I was deep in the Himalayas, in Maha Avatar Babaji's, I could say, his cave or his transmission room. And there were other beings there. Some of them were human, some of them were alien. And we were sharing this space, this ashram space. But I was in the room with Maha Avatar Babaji, and he had taken on the density of the world. He had taken on the pain of the world. And he was sending frequency signals out, pulsing waves of these frequencies of light, of love, and lifting, elevating the consciousness of the planet. And I was watching, learning how he was doing it. And I said to him, what happened to you? Because he was dense and heavy and kind of bloated. And he said, he said, being in the frequency or the density of the earth, I've taken on the karma or the energy of humanity to be able to take the burden. And it was around that time that I started learning about transmuting karma and transmuting global karma, transmuting human karma. And in that dream, I dreamt that I literally traveled, I walked back across the earth in my dream, or in my vision. I was walking back across the earth all the way till I ended up back in my bedroom. And it was this long journey to get home. And when I woke up or came back from the vision, however you want to call it, lucid, I sat upright and I received a bolt of light into my third eye from Maha Avatar Babaji, who is my guide and teacher for lifetimes. So those stories really stand out when you talk about this. And pretty soon after that, I started to, once I realized I was no longer my body, and once I realized and remembered the astral travel experiences that I had from when I was a young child, 7 years old, where I used to go to the moon and go to different planets and go to different solar systems. And we would always go and activate, I would go traveling with different masters, and we would activate the inner light of the soul of the beings that were in these planes and dimensions. And we would awaken their consciousness by activating their inner light. And some of them were very depressed. Some of them were in hell in terms of their consciousness, deep negativity. And I was trained in how to activate the inner light, how to heal the human physiology, how to turn on the energetic system and create a awakened state of consciousness by some pretty incredible masters of light from 7 years old, again at 17, again at 21 and 22. And that really began the intensive part of my training. So I'll share those stories, and anything you want to comment on that, Scott, I'm open.
Beautiful. Well, we're going to have a whole, you and I and Denea are going to have a roundtable conversation. I'm going to read some questions and comments from our audience. Let's hear what Denea wants to open with tonight. And welcome back to the Awakening World, Denea.
Thank you for having me.
Colorado. Yeah, I'm really excited to hear your sharings and what story or stories you'd like to start with.
Yeah, so I loved hearing your guys' stories, by the way, because this is the place where I feel the most at home, because we all have these really interesting far out stories. I'm like, okay, I'm not crazy. There's other people experiencing really wild things. So when I was between 2 and 3 years old, I had my first abduction experience, and it was a being that I was connected to from other realms, other lives. And during this abduction, my DNA was essentially taken and stretched and seeded into other places in the universe. So I've been made aware of at least 13 other, whether you call them children, other beings that are connected to me. And that was my first big whoa, because people really talk about, I'm sure everyone in this, or most people, some people in this room, you hear about abductions, and it's not always the prettiest, fanciest, stories. And mine, which just wasn't like that, it was really odd because when I had the memory recall of it, it was as if I was home. And so from a young age, having these experiences, I feel like I've always been curious about reality, because what I experience and what I'm witnessing, observing, is nothing, in my opinion, to be true. And so I've just been on this really long journey of truth and home to myself and making sense of everything that we are coexisting in, right? And as I grew up, I had a very human experience, and I understand now why, because it ties so much into my work and how I'm able to connect with people. But when I really started, I started having experiences where I would go to bed at night, where I'd be laying in bed and I would close my eyes, and then all of a sudden I'd be in a completely different room in a completely different slice of time. And that was probably the one of the things that really freaked me out, because when you travel somewhere that you're not intending to travel, you have no idea where you are, whose house, I mean, I was by myself, but waking up in a room you've never seen before, I mean, that was a little jarring. So having those kind of experience, I've astral traveled as well. I've gone to the moon, I've gone to other places in the solar system. I have, gosh, what else? My work was really, I was born psychically blown open. And so, I had my clairs activated at a very young age, which in the 80s, I'm sure some of you can testify to this. It wasn't a flourishing spiritual community to say, you're not crazy. And so, that was something I worked through for a lot of years. And once I really started to get into the, oh my gosh, we're connected to everything. Oh my gosh, we live again and again. And not only do we live again and again, all these versions of ourselves that are happening now are bleeding through in our now. And, the regurgitation of reincarnational trauma, reincarnational karma, and all of these things, it was just this massive picture. And I would sit here going, when people are focusing on politics and things that are obvious to name, right? The betrayal of systems, I'm like, everything is so much bigger than that. Like the betrayal is so much bigger than this. The changing of genetics and, the hiding of the connection to extraterrestrials, all of these things I just started to see and piece together. And I'm sure, like any spiritual person, it's been a very it's a journey, right? So you climb the top of a mountain, and then you get to the top and you realize, oh my gosh, there's 7 more peaks I want to climb. So, that's been really a big part of my journey, as I'm sure most of yours, but it's just been a huge expansion of my inner world. So then the outer world expansion has just been profound, and really understanding how we are connected to everything, I feel like has been one of the biggest betrayals with humans. And, really, I do a lot of work helping people connect them back to their multidimensionality and help them understand. I feel like a lot of people have lost that purpose and why they came here. And, society is built on this victim mentality. And I really remind people, actually, you are magic. You have so much purpose. You have so much intention, and every single one of us does, and every single one of us comes here for different reasons. And that was a really empowering thing for me to realize at a younger age, because life is so set up as random and purposeless and by accident, and life happens to you, not for you. And so I really help remind people of that too, among many other things. And I've just had a very interesting life and journey, and so I'm really grateful for it, to be honest.
Thank you so much for sharing. We're going to kind of go into the roundtable conversation with the 3 of us right now. And Denea mentioned how important it is for us to share these stories because it makes it safe for everybody to come forward with their stories. And I'm hoping that some of our Zoom roomers will share. And thank you, Susan Bloomquist, for your beautiful story. Really appreciated that. How did both of you manage finding that balance of opening and experiencing multidimensional self while remaining functional and grounded in this world? Mirabai first.
I would just love to say that when my third eye opened, all my clairs opened, Denea, before third eye, and everybody else I'm sharing with, just back to Denea's point. And when I was at a retreat in Switzerland and I was 23, and we were down at the river and we picked up, we were with a shaman and we were training in communicating with the elements and the elementals and power animals. And I picked up a stone. And when I picked up the stone and was meditating on the river, I became one with the river.
Wow.
And I took the stone and I came back to my hotel room, which was in a retreat center. And I took the stone and I sat in meditation, and I basically felt as if I was kicked in the solar plexus by a horse. I was doubled over. I was in excruciating pain. I was rocking backwards and forwards for 3 days. I thought I was dying. I didn't know what was happening to me. And I thought this was the end of my life. After 3 days, I went back to the class and they invited us to sit in partners. The pain had gone. It cleared up. I didn't know what that whole experience was about. We were sitting in partners in the group, and I started to look into my partner. And from that day on, I could see their past lives. I could see their lifetimes on other planets. I could see the civilizations and the beings that lived on those planets, what languages they spoke, what cultures they lived in. I could see all the other dimensions, and I could see the future. I could read people's thoughts. I was in complete multidimensional reality. I had 1 foot in one canoe and 1 foot in the other canoe. I couldn't go into a shopping mall, on an airplane, onto a bus, sleep in a hotel room without hearing everybody's thoughts screaming in my head. I would walk towards people. I would see what diseases they had in their body. I became a medical intuitive. I started to feel everything that everyone was feeling empathically. And I could see all the causal realms for their cause of their diseases, their issues, and so forth. When I was just walking on the street, people couldn't speak to me because I could hear their thoughts overpowering what they were really meaning and thinking beyond their thoughts. And I, of course, just like you did, Denea, I went through thinking I was crazy and I was losing my mind and that I was, going to get locked up or something. But I pretty quickly realized that this was a very, very extremely expanded version of seeing and multidimensional seeing. And so at that point, when it started out, I went through like a 10-year process where I didn't know how to shut it off. I was just wide open. I was processing people's illnesses through my body. They were getting healed miraculously. I was doing these readings for people about everything under the sun. And after 10 years, I finally got a lot of inner teachings from different ascended masters and gods and goddesses and high Buddha beings and different rays. And they all came one by one, and they taught me a lot through the mirror, a lot in meditation, a lot through dreams, how to integrate it into the physical reality. And after 10 years, I learned how to shut it off. Turn it on, shut it off, turn it on, shut it off. And it became like switching. If you go in the room and you turn the light switch on and then you shut it off. And so then it became a container. And so it went very well paralleled with my samadhi or higher states of consciousness experiences, where depending on what state of consciousness, what dimension or what reality I was in, then later on, I started learning how, and we'll talk about that later. I started how to work with timelines, changing people's timelines, shifting timelines, jumping timelines, changing the future. All this kind of stuff started coming later on. So I'd say that, Scott, in the beginning, it was a nightmare because I couldn't control it. But after 10 years, once I was trained and I learned how to turn it on and off, then it became very manageable, to answer your question.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. That's what an extraordinary life.
Thank you.
Denea, I'd love to hear how you've kind of learned how to dance with this, work with it, and manage it.
My story is not always sunshine and cupcakes. So I managed this honestly a lot through traumatic experiences, unfortunately. But it was part of my journey. You know, I don't have any shame with it, but because I also tried to shut this down. And so I met a lot of dead ends, and I met a lot of situations that really forced me to meet myself and accept myself and not be afraid of myself and not think I'm weird or different, or, you know, whatever the stories that we tell ourselves when we have these kind of abilities or the ways that we live. And so it really was about me. It was the same for me in a sense. It's so loud. I always say your energy introduces you before you do. And it was the same experience for me in that way. And the medical intuitives, everything, the beings connected to people. I had this, you were not joking when you said we have such similar stories, because it was, and we'll have to even talk offline because
Yeah.
I feel like more ahead of me in that way. And I would love some tips and tricks with some of this stuff because, you know, it really came down to me drowning out the noise essentially, and really being picky on who I have in my life, and really surrounding myself with people who could see me, really see me and acknowledge me for exactly who I am, and, you know, not require a different version of me or not be intimidated or scared. You know, you at my age, when growing up in the 80s, I mean, there were a lot of people who thought I was really weird and, you know, said that I needed an exorcism and all. I mean, I've heard it all, which I'm sure many healers have. That's kind of part of the path, and trusting yourself and owning your power. But, you know, really came down to acknowledging I am a creator and saying, you know what? If I don't like something that I created, I can uncreate it, and I can create whatever I see fit for my reality. And that meant people, places, and things. And that really started taking shape in 2020 for me. Everything started really big in 2015, where I started reactivating everything. And then once I became a mother, it was, oh, it was, everything was blown back open. I mean, nothing was going back in the box. And so 2020 on, I just completely restructured my life. And overnight, I basically just had the most massive death and rebirth I've ever had, from getting a divorce, moving, becoming a single mom of 2 little boys. I mean, selling my car, I mean, like severe, really whoa moments to where it was, wow. A little bit traumatic in a way, but I knew that in order to walk my path, I had to clean my slate. And that's exactly what I did. And my life has just been expanding and blossoming and growing in ways that honestly, I've always wanted. I've never felt more at home with myself, and especially my psychic gifts. The same thing happened to me. You know, I started as a reader, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm communicating with animals, with stones, things in nature, rocks, trees, you know, medical intuitive, communicating with ETs, like all of this stuff, it just kept growing bigger and bigger. And it's all because I started accepting myself. I changed my beliefs about myself. I changed my beliefs about reality. I changed my beliefs about who I am and what I think I'm capable of. I'm not just some person in a body. I'm multidimensional. I am all things. I am connected to all things. And so once I really started to embody these beliefs through the teachings of extraterrestrials, honestly, to be fair, they've taught me, they've been the root system of my entire life. And you know, once I started embodying their teachings, my entire life changed. Whether I wanted it to or not, my entire life changed. And that has been a really rewarding experience for me. And I can now see all the pieces that I've been working on, even outside of this life. I mean, I've been working to this point for so long, and it feels really good to finally be in this space and be where I'm at.
Beautiful. I love how it works out to have both of you on the show tonight, and that happens. You know, there's a beautiful synchronicity, and so, you know, thank you both for being honest. And Mirabai, when she read your bio, texted me and said, "Oh my God, I got to talk to this woman outside of the show." So it is beautiful that you two have had such unique and similar experiences.
Yes.
What would be your advice for people that are at that early stage, like where you were, where it's happening, you're waking up in a room and you don't know where you are, or you're hearing a person's, you know, inner thoughts? What's your advice for people that are the early stages of high phenomena not knowing how to work with it or manage it?
Can I go first?
Yes.
I feel like one of the biggest things that people need to focus on is drowning out the noise. That means turn off the television, turn off the media, stop listening to everything outside of yourself, because everything that you're looking for is on your inner net. Okay, INNER, that's what I call it, internet, what my guides have taught me. If you could stop listening to people projecting who they think you should be, what you should be doing with your life, what you have done wrong. Everyone puts these projections on you that create a checklist that isn't even yours. And I feel like a lot of people have to also reevaluate their beliefs, because if you're spiritual but you still think you're confined in a body, and you still think that you're confined by a clock, a 12-hour 24-hour clock day, you have to get down to the nitty-gritty of your beliefs. And that, to me personally, it was the biggest deal breaker, because again, once you change your beliefs, you change your reality, you change yourself. But if you believe that you don't have intuition and you don't have gut feelings, and you don't acknowledge those parts of yourself, which everyone has these, everyone is energy. And so it's really helps to have a good group of people around you who are like-minded, and who you can bounce ideas off, who can inspire you, who can seed you with new ideas, inspirations. And it really it helps so much when you have a good community and good friends and good people to look up to, and teachers. And it's not something where all, and that's it. Do you know what I mean? It's constantly an expansive learning experience, and inside this life and the next. And I feel like a big thing too is people get stuck on, oh, I've done all my healing, am I done? Well, we're never done. And so I think that's something that also could benefit from being okay with, because myself included, sometimes I'm just like, can I just cruise control for a little bit? Like, can I just be in this spot for a while and get comfortable? And a lot of times these things are not planned. I know, looking back at my astrology chart, and which I recommend everyone to get one, there's activation points. There's things that are unavoidable. There are things that start initiating you into higher states of awareness, higher states of consciousness. And these are not always avoidable, and that's where you see these big death and rebirths, these big tower moments. And the biggest thing that I've learned is to surrender when things feel like, oh my God, my life is falling apart, or I don't want to let go of that person or that relationship. And it's like, trust, because life happens for you, and it's never loss, it's redirection, or it's protection. And it's little beliefs like that really carried me and helped me feel supported. And even when I didn't have answers, and maybe I was completely alone, but it's these little beliefs that I carried, where I found really home in these things, that trusting the unknown, which it has not always been easy for me. Things that we can't see the whole picture. And we're trained as society to have answers. Let's have labels. Let's know. Bah, 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 bah. It's not like that. Spirituality is sometimes just jumping off a cliff, not always with a parachute, and trusting that someone's going to catch you on the way, and that you're going to be okay. And that is sometimes the hardest part of all of this. But the trust and the gratitude and the sincerity, and even when things are not going your way, or maybe you don't have all the pieces to your puzzle, but keeping that momentum and that trust, the gratitude, really helps define an experience, because also perception is everything, right? And so if you're someone the glass is always half empty, it's going to be very difficult for you to have these expansive experiences, because it may be fearful. We have all these movies out of horror and demonic stuff and being scared of paranormal. There's a lot of paranormal experiences in spirituality and spiritual experiences, and connecting to, unseen things that are not supposed to be scary, but we've been programmed to think that they're scary. And so I think just trusting, and that comes with, you have to trust yourself. If you can't trust yourself, it can get tricky. It can get a little difficult. But I hope these little things kind of help guide, give people a little toolkit, a basic little toolkit.
Beautiful. Thank you very much for those. Great. And several of the people have already said these are great tips.
Oh, good.
And we're gonna go to Mirabai in a moment. But I want to share so many of the things you're saying I want to riff on, but one I'll say, making my living as a relationship coach, which is all about usually helping to create change. And it's so common that with whatever our wounding is, or whatever the hard thing is, we want to get over it. We want to heal it. We want it to be done. And over the years, I've come to believe that with our big wounds or our big life lessons, it's not about healing it. It's about learning how to honor and manage and work with it.
Yes.
You know, this is just like, this is my body. I can add weight or lose weight, but this is my body. I learn how to work with this body. Well, it's kind of the same thing with our life lessons and our deep wounding, or our ancestral lineage patterning. We work with it, we honor it, we manage it. So I just wanted to add that, and I'm eager to hear what Mirabai wants to share next.
Beautiful, beautiful, Scott. I call what you just described being with what is, loving what is, accepting what is, being with what is, the isness of being.
Yeah.
So when I'm talking to the audience here, when you are starting to have your awakening in this awakening world, and you're starting to have some paranormal experiences, you're starting to see beyond the veils, you're starting to have mystical experiences, the first thing that happens is you're challenged by society's boxes. You're challenged by these definitions that say that's weird, or you're a freak, or that's different, or it's outside of the norm. And what starts to happen is you lose some of your friends. Your family is not on the same page, perhaps. Your friends are not on the same page, and you start to become more isolated. Also, when you start moving into quantum reality, where your vibration is shifting and raising, and you're starting to move into the ascension process, the rug will feel like it's being pulled out from under you. And all of a sudden, your status quo normal turns upside down. And just like Denea was explaining, it doesn't have to be that extreme where you lose this and this and this and this and this and this in your life. That Denea had a major awakening by losing all of those things. And that does happen sometimes to shamans and teachers and healers, that they lose everything in order to rebuild, regain themselves. So I tell people, don't worry, don't fear that it's going to be that you're going to have to completely flip your life upside down. It can be a little bit at a time. You can ask the universe, you can ask your guides to slow it down, to walk you through it, to help you with it. But things will change, and things must change, because that which is unreal, that which is fake and false, is going to get ripped out of your life. That which is real is going to become apparent and develop. So the first thing I would recommend is get a teacher, get a mentor, get a guide, work with a healer, work with a healing therapist, work with someone who's doing spiritual work or energy work, or at the very least doing psychic work. Because when you can have one-on-one mentorship like that, or somebody to walk you through the process, they've already walked that path before you. They already know that you're not crazy. They see your essential self. They see who you are. And they can give you mantras and affirmations and guided visualizations and breathwork practices and mind frame things to be able to see, like Denea was talking about, to wake up every day in gratitude, to learn to visualize what you want to manifest, to accept yourself as you are, to reach out to multidimensional light beings and guides and angelic beings and ultra terrestrials, which are the light being ETs, and really encourage you to be able to start to step more into the paranormal, into your sixth sense, instead of being afraid or shutting it down. So guidance is imperative. Spiritual practice is imperative. Those practices that I've just shared, having some kind of a meditation practice every day is super helpful. And grounding yourself, connecting in nature, working with the elements or the elementals to ground, to breathe, to practice self-acceptance and self-love, to look in the mirror, to look in your own eyes, to start communicating with your guides, to make contact with your higher self. The beginning of all this, it's like a vast world that you're stepping into. And the most important thing is not to fear it, but to feel safe, to allow yourself to feel safe. And like Denea said, it is jumping off a cliff and free falling because you're in a new world, you're in a new universe. You're stepping into something that's maybe brand new for you in this lifetime, but it wouldn't be happening to you if it hadn't already been there for you in a previous lifetime, because these kinds of awakenings come as bleed through from other timelines, from other lifetimes, and we reawaken again and again. And so these opportunities, mentorship, guidance, counselor, healer, spiritual teacher, and especially group, coming into group community like we're doing tonight. This is so helpful. This is so helpful. And journaling and doing self-inquiry practice with yourself so that you can meet your guides and your higher self and receive the answers, and going within and accessing that stillness where you can listen inside to the answers. They're all there. They're all there.
Well, speaking of finding a mentor or a guide, both Mirabai and Denea can provide that. So this is Mirabai's website. It's her name, mirabaidevi.org. And then if you click / private sessions or go to services and offerings, that's where you can learn how to work with her. Now, I know that you do private sessions and personal retreats. And are you available for new clients at this time?
Yes, yes. I always take some new clients, although I do have many pre-existing long-term clients, but I am, like you, Scott, doing 12 to 15 hours a day, 7 days a week of client sessions and groups, going on almost 30 years. So yes, I do make space for that. Thank you for asking.
Absolutely. And I put that into the chat box. And likewise, bringing up Denea, and Denea, you also do readings and sessions, or not just readings, but sessions. The reason I said readings is her website is readingswithdenea.com. Readingswithdenea.com. And tell us a little bit about kind of the demographic group or the people you most enjoy working with, Denea.
You know, I really just enjoy working with people who have an open heart, because my readings, which I'm sure they're so much like yours too, you're not just going to get one thing, right? And so being open to the possibilities of the unknown coming in, I always say you're going to get what you wanted and a lot of what you didn't even know you needed. And so people keeping an open mind and an open heart, that really allows all the information to come through that needs to come through, wants to come through. When we shut things down, it tends to block. But so people who are open to transforming themselves, their lives, and, I love seeing people with ideas and things that they didn't even realize that they had going on or were connected to them. And it's not necessarily just like one type of person. I have a really easy job of meeting people exactly where they are. So I say there's nothing that you have to come prepared for. I've been an excellent student of the human experience and my earth life. So, it's very easy for me to meet people where they are.
Beautiful. Well, this has gone by quickly, but I want to give each of you a chance to do kind of a final sharing. I know that one of you had mentioned you wanted to do, I think it was Denea, to do a light language experience, then turn over to Mirabai for whatever she'd like to conclude with.
So I'm not the light language.
It's
That
Mirabai.
was Mirabai.
I was Mirabai. I got you to see. I've already merged.
I'd love to go first, and then Denea, you can think about it.
Okay.
Would that be okay?
Absolutely.
Yes.
So I just want to share with everyone that I have a school called the Lightworkers School, and I train healers and mystics and clairvoyants and spiritually advanced seekers, and also train people to hold the light in their communities. And the school involves spiritual practices, my spiritual practices, spiritual teachings, guided visualizations, light activations, completion of your karma in this lifetime, looking at your past lives, clearing them, looking at multidimensional reality, and clearing the blockages that you came into this life with, as well as what you've accumulated in this life, so that you can step into your unique gift and your unique purpose that you've come here in this world to be and to bring. And so I attract people from all over the world with these gifts and abilities, and even those that just want to be a light worker in this world and help with the global ascension in their communities by holding their own meditation groups and their own healing circles. And one of the things, the main things we do during the Lightworkers School, which is now fully online, people can study the curriculum from the comfort of their own home anywhere in the world. And we do gather together for retreat days online as well. One of the things that I share in this program and many of my programs is called light transmission. And light transmission, or transmission of the divine light, is where I'm actually bringing the divine light through me into you by activating your chakras, your nervous system, your kundalini, your meridians or nadis, by opening up your heart chakra, opening yourself to your higher self, your higher vibrational frequency, raising your vibration or your resonance, and bringing up all of the buried or suppressed or hidden stuff or material that needs to come to the surface and be worked on and released. And these light transmissions often heal the physical body, illnesses, accidents, injuries, breaks, tears, things like that. And so they basically are quantum shifts or quantum activations. So I'd love to share one with all of you tonight. So you can think about your intentions and where you would like to receive this healing energy, and what you'd like to ask your higher self, your guides, the divine light, that you would like to ask to manifest in your life now and into the future for yourself, for your loved ones. We'll just take a moment to set our intentions now, and let's do that. And take some nice deep breaths as you're setting your intentions. And then when you're complete, you can open your hands to open the chakras in your hands and open to receive the transmission of light, and let it go wherever it needs to go inside of you to uproot and to pull forward like a magnet to the surface that which no longer serves you, that which is ready to leave you, and then open yourself to just bask and bathe in the divine light, to open yourself to that beautiful, blissful, ecstatic, higher consciousness energy that makes you feel like you're floating in the clouds or bathing in the heart of Divine Mother's love, divine feminine, pure unconditional love. So set your intentions now, everybody, for yourself and others and your loved ones. Thank you. And I'll start the light transmission now. Again, just open your hands and feel the energy. You'll notice maybe your hands and feet tingling. You might notice some heat in your body or some light on your third eye. You might feel like you're being lifted up or floating or tingling energy moving through your body. Whatever it is, just go with it. Here we go. Let's start. Begin now. This is for you. Thank you. Take your time to come back slowly. Just bring all this beautiful light into your whole body and being. See your intentions as manifested. See what your life looks like with your manifested intentions. The fulfillment of your heart's desires. And just let the light work through you and for you and with you. And let go and relax and rest in the light. Thank you, Scott.
Remind it now. There we go. Here are ways that you can reach and connect with Mirabai. Her private sessions, her light worker school. She's also doing a tour of New England. So I'm putting that into the chat box. Her online store and her healing webinars. And so these are all wonderful ways to connect with her. And then finally, her book, which we talked about previously, the last time she was on the show. So there you all go for the wonderful ways to reach her. And thank you, Mirabai, for blessing us with your wisdom, your presence, and that beautiful experience just now. As Susan writes, gratitude, Mirabai, you are a blessing of light. And Denea, as I bring you up, there is a question in addition to whatever else you'd like to share. Perhaps you're willing to answer a really good question that came up from our friend Dorina Joy, coming to us from Ecuador. And her question is, what in your experience has been the most effective way or ways to help someone else realize, stay functionally connected to other dimensions and time-space realities?
What do you mean, like being okay with being connected to other realities, or?
Well, I'm guessing because I'm reading her question. She says the most effective ways to help someone else. So whatever comes to your mind in terms of how to support another person with their multidimensional self.
So here's the thing, we are all multidimensional, and whether we travel space and time during the day or whether we never leave our couch, we are constantly shifting timelines. We are constantly changing the props by every single decision that we make. And so the best thing that I can advise is to be yourself, follow your path, follow what excites you, what inspires you, what, you know, I always say when people say, what is my purpose in life? I say, find the thing that when you're doing it, time stops. And, maybe you're doing something for 3 hours, but it feels like 5 minutes. And as you are going along that journey, these things will naturally happen, whether you are expecting them or not. Things will unfold for you the way that they're supposed to, and trust that you planned everything out impeccably for yourself and that you are always guided. You are never alone. And everyone is going to experience this differently. So don't compare yourself to anyone else. Your story is equally as important as anyone else's. And, trusting that everything is happening for you, not to you, that you're always in the right place at the right time with everything working out more than fine. Putting those little affirmations in your day, knowing that you're always safe. And, I want to add this too, that this is just a little side note. I know the world right now looks really chaotic and uncertain and probably scary at times. And I just want to reaffirm everyone that this is all planned and to get your attention, but to keep the eye on the prize, essentially, that there's so much more going on and it's so much more beautiful and abundant than they're never going to show this on the news. But we are in the transition of one of the biggest awakenings that we have seen in the body. So really being focused on the good and the awakening and the sacredness to your journey, and don't necessarily worry about how or when. Just know, trust that everything will unfold in perfect, impeccable timing. So I hope this helps. I don't know if that was the answer she was looking for, but that's what came to me.
Well, that's great wisdom. Thank you.
Yes.
And is there anything else you would like to share to kind of conclude your part of the program tonight?
I don't necessarily have anything else to share. I just want to acknowledge that, as everyone's journey is different, to be very proud of yourself. You qualified to be able to be in a body. There's a lot of people who can't even qualify to come to earth at this time. And so the fact that you have 5 fingers and 10 fingers and 10 toes, hopefully, is a really big deal. It's an accomplishment in itself. And going back to focusing on the tiny things, to giving gratitude to having a roof over your head, having a bed to sleep in, food on the table. We're kind of changing the way that we see reality, and really removing that materialistic way. And so when you feel kind of lost in this storm that we're in right now, which is kind of like a great purge of the subconscious, right? We're all individually going on our journey, then we have the collective journey, and just trust that you're going to land exactly where you need to land. And eh, don't never go in fear. Don't ever go in fear. So do your best to not get caught up and distracted with things that are trying to keep you from yourself, which is your biggest power that is coming online right now. So, our DNA is changing, cranial capacity, all this stuff is being upgraded. So focus on the good things, because there's so much more good that exists right now than what we're being shown. So find your tribe. If you don't have a tribe, call them in. Every month I do moon papers, I call them, and I manifest everything on a new moon on what I want to call in. And part of that is always, I want to welcome in more of my tribe. I want the people who are like-minded, who have the energetic match, who, whatever that is, but write it down. Writing down is the quickest way to manifest. For beginners, it's just a really easy way to do. Journaling, could be similar. So realize the simplistic powers in yourself, and all of the multidimensional and the traveling out of the body, all that stuff will come, but you got to get the basics of things, the basics of the belief systems, the deprogramming, all of those things out of the way. Because if you jump first, it could get confusing. And so start small and build. And don't feel like you have to have everything all at once. Myself included, I am still not at all satisfied with satisfied, yes, but I acknowledge humbly that I have so much more to learn, and keeping that, mind frame is so important, because that allows more to come in, whether it's people, places, or things, knowledge, downloads, whatever it is. So just you're not late, you're in the right place at the right time, and trust the process. It's different for everyone, but everyone is exactly where they need to be.
Denea, thank you so much. I love how optimistic you are, and I agree with you absolutely.
Thank you.
It's a never-ending journey. Even Yogananda said that all saints still have karma. They still have lessons they're learning.
Yes.
So it never ends. And
No.
thank you both. And again, Mirabai, and you both are absolutely welcome to stay on. I seem to recall that one or both of you had to. I know it's East Coast for Mirabai, so you're welcome to stay on. And if you're still here, I'll probably call on you. But if you got to go, I understand that as well.
I have to. It was my kids back to school today, so I'm mom duties now. We got bedtime and reading and homework, so I gotta do my mom duties. But I'm really grateful that I was able to share space with you guys. You guys are wonderful as always. I always enjoy with anyone who comes on here. It's a really great community. So thank you for having me, and hopefully we can, meet in this place again. And Mirabai, we have to talk, because
I'll send you guys your contact
okay.
information.
I really
Yes.
enjoyed that. And the last transmission you did was beautiful. When you said you may be floating, I was literally felt like I was on a cloud. Like that was a little happy hour for me today. So I really enjoyed that. So thank you so much. It was really wonderful to hear your perspective on things, and it was beautiful, and it's an inspiration for me. So I'm really grateful for that. Thank you. And thank you, Scott. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
10 Gila
Thank you.
sends her love to you, by the way, Danae.
Oh, love back. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Danae.
Yes.
Goodbye. Thank you so much for your wisdom and your lifelong dedication to humanity and to our awakening world. And I look forward to our next connection, and hopefully sometime maybe another connection in person.
Yes, I would love that, Scott. And also, I just want to end with saying Yogananda also said that just taking on a body is karma. So we're just working off the karma even of taking on a body. So even saints, even enlightened beings, they also have karma that they're finishing off and completing. So it is a never ending cycle. And I loved hearing a lot of what Denea was saying, because it's, you know, I say these things year in and year out, and hearing that my own words coming through another body is an amazing thing. It's like looking in the mirror, but it's a different form saying what I say all the time. So that was really powerful and affirming, just in the sense that it's wonderful to know there's others out there that have received the same universal knowledge and guidance that I receive, and a lot about going inward and into the silence and receiving the channel download. You know, it's like all about saying what you hear as you hear it and keeping it clean and pure, only exactly as you're guided we speak. You know, we don't elaborate or flourish, we follow. We're very, very clear about speaking the truth that is given to us explicitly from our inner guides. And I can see you doing that, Denea, and it's the same for me. And Scott, just beautiful how you chimed in with your multi-dimensional stories and experiences. And I haven't really experienced this kind of a show with you before, so I really enjoyed your sharing and Denea's sharing. And I too, because it's the East Coast, I have to get off and head to bed, but I want to just send so much love and blessings to everybody for sharing this truth with us tonight and being together in community and being open about these things. It's time. This is the time for us to bring the hidden truth to the surface, to the world. So thanks for sharing this with us.
Absolutely. Thank you again, Danae, and thank you again, Mirabai. May you rest well, and good luck with the kiddos.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And you also as well.
For all of our Global Peace Tribers, we're only halfway through the show. Because the second half, we're going to continue sharing, and this time we're going to be hearing from some of our kind of more everyday beloveds, including DeArah and Omashar, and I did see Desirea pop in there. She is. So the four of us are all going to continue the conversation, and we're also going to hear from some of you. And finally, you guys are now giving me some stories to read. So I'm going to read from a couple of our audience members, and then we're going to go to Omashar for a song. Mark Denisovsky writes, I had a samadhi experience in my mid-20s when I moved across country and lived down the street from the SRF temple in downtown San Diego. It changed my life completely. I was meditating hours a day and had a profoundly transformative experience of cosmic consciousness. When it was happening, I wanted to know that it was really happening. So I asked my spiritual friend, Susan, and would share with her in the experience. I saw her a few months later at Govinda's restaurant in San Diego. And when she saw me sitting there, she came up to me and said that I wouldn't believe what happened to her. I told her that she saw every person that ever lived, and that she looked out over all the mountains of the world, and everything was bathed in an incredible astral light of indescribable colors and beauty. She started crying and said that I had appeared to her. She was sitting in a hot tub, and I smiled as she had the experience. I knew that it was real. A mentor to ground is important. Thank you, Mark. Connie Baxter Marlowe, Connie and Andrew reminding us that they have a free online ebook, which is wonderful. I have it. It's The Conscious Loving Universe, a guidebook, and a synopsis of their trust frequency, which are these 10 profound assumptions. We've done it on the show a few times. Very, very good. And of course, Jeffrey Colbrook reminding us that Lovolution is radical acceptance of where we are and then walking in the direction of love. Beautiful. And Terry Russo is in the house. Hey, Terry, it's good to have you with us. And I think Autobiography of a Yogi has been certainly, it was the first big wake-up book I read. And Yogananda is still my master teacher. And I think Yogananda has brought many of us together. So, all right. With no further ado, I'm going to keep the two of you on along with Omashar while I take a quick break. And Omashar is going to bless us with our mid-show song.
So, beloveds, that was wonderful from Denea and Mirabai. I'm so deepened, and I was wondering why I was called to sing like a group song in the center. And I'm just going to put it in the chat here. Most of you know it. When I was music director for Unity in Hawaii, we sung this a lot. And those of you on Zoom and Facebook, you'll probably know it too. So it's in the chat now for our Zoom roomers. And we'll have a prayer after this song because this will deepen us. So I just ask us to take a few deep breaths together and just anything that's on our shoulder, anything that's pulling us out of the now, let it go. You know, we have another half an hour, 3/4 an hour with each other. And it was interesting, Denea was saying something about finding my tribe. And I still have not found in the outer world my tribe. My tribe at the moment is still online with us in the awakening world and a couple of other calls that I join in on, like Unity Earth and Humanities Team and people like that. And so I'm wondering when my tribe that I can actually speak this freely to is going to happen in the outer world. And so if you want to sing along with your mics muted, please look in the chat and you can find the lyrics, or you can just hear it as I present it. So a deepening song, Love is in My Heart today.
So lovely.
Yeah, I just thought we needed some little nice little gentle touch in.
Very gentle, very sweet.
It's been kind of rough the last few days. I feel it in the outer world. And so any bit of peace that we can provide for each other and join in collectively is just perfection.
Thank you, Omashar.
Thank you.
Well, I'm going to call upon you in a moment to share something multidimensional. But I will lead off again, and then we'll go to Desirea, then DeArah and Omashar, and all of you. All right, I'm going to tell you another story. This took place in 1985, so it was, 40 years ago. So I was 29, and I was sleeping, and while I was in the sleep time, I was having what I'll say as best as possible, a day in the astral plane. Now, while I was having that day in the astral plane, there was no part of me going, oh, wow, I'm in the astral plane, because I'm there all the time. It's my reality that I know more than the one that I'm in right now. The big aha happened when I came back into this body and woke up. I remembered it. I remembered where I had been. I remembered all the different elements of the experience. And literally I won't go into all the detail, but in that realm, in my astral plane realm, there are people that I know that I had many, many friends and connections, some of whom I recognize and remember it as people I know on this planet, and some were others. I had work that I did. I had recreation that I did. I had all sorts of different experiences. And again, as I was having them up there, that was just like another day in the astral. But the big thing was remembering it. It was like, wow. And it's such a blessing, because these experiences has helped me to really know experientially. By the way, both the experiences I described today were not with drugs. There were no drugs, alcohol, or substances involved. And they're also totally spontaneous. They were not like I sat down and figured. They both were very spontaneous things that my soul chose at that time or in that way to have me experience. But the beauty is knowing that we really all are multidimensional beings existing simultaneously in many different planes of reality. And I think that's obviously a great thing to know. And it's helped me with my work with people that are dying or dealing with death, because I can really speak from an experiential point of view. It's not like a belief system, pray to Jesus and you'll be saved. It's just, I can share from my own experience. So that's me. And we are now going to go to our wonderful friend, Desirea, who I definitely can tell and know is a very multidimensional being, although we've never really talked about it, but it's pretty obvious. So I'd love to hear, Desirea, what you'd like to share with our audience about you and your journey.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this topic. Thank you so much, Scott. I'm excited, one, to share my experience, but just talking through the topic today, it expanded my mind and allowed me to ask more questions to my guides to better understand what was happening with me on a multidimensional level. So thank you for that. But one of the most impactful times that I remember working multidimensionally was just literally driving down the road. And as I'm driving down the road, I see a street sign. And the name on that street sign changed right before my eyes. And I was like, whoa. I was like, what just happened? And my guides go, we just switched timelines. That was what the name was going to be called. So naturally, I get curious. I'm like, well, what about the next street sign? I want to know what that one was going to be called, right? And so as we approach the next street sign, I asked just that question. It's not very often that I get Like, you know how like when you get caught with your hand in the cookie jar by your parents and you get scared, you're like, whoa, what did I do? Like, hold on. But literally, as I asked that question, my guides go, no. And I was like, oh. They go, you can't ask that question. You could switch the timeline. And so that was a huge lesson that just as we observe these things that are happening, we don't need to do anything. We just need to learn, observe, and see what happens. So that was huge for me.
Mhm.
And then the other thing that as we were talking about the topic tonight, I got curious. Because I've done work before where I've taken people and go, okay, here's your highest timeline where you were the healthiest person. So let's bring that energy to this timeline. Here's where you had this spiritual gift. Let's go bring that to this timeline, right? And so I just asked myself today, I was like, what other timelines would I have been on? What other things did I experience? And it was really interesting to see like exactly where I was at, right? For instance, the number of kids I had were different, right? My hair was different. And all those things were like really, really cool to see. And then the other thing is as I work, what's really cool is a couple years ago, I began to see working in a multidimensional level. So what I see is almost a pie chart. In each slice of the pie, something else is happening. So whether it's a light being working on somebody's heart chakra, the next slice will be a light worker working on somebody's legs. The next one may be a different timeline, so on and so forth. So I'm seeing that work happen in a multidimensional level as well. So it's really cool to see. Yeah, so that's a little bit of my experience.
You've mentioned a couple times on the show over the past few months about working with your guides. Often you'll say, my guide showed me. What's that like for you? Like, who are your guides? How did you discover them? And how do they show you? What is it you see or do you hear? Tell us about that experience.
Absolutely. So one of the first times I ever meditated, I actually looked up at the moon and I saw two beams of light come out sideways and one ginormous beam of light come down, and then it came forward. And as it came forward, it morphed into an archangel. So the archangels were the first ones that I worked with. And as it came down and it morphed, I saw this profile of a face. I didn't know who it was for the longest time until recently I came across a statue of St. Jude, and he was wearing a picture of Jesus, the Redeemer, like a pendant on his chest. And I realized that angel came down and turned into Jesus, the Redeemer. That was the first kind of guides that I worked with. My first visions were of things as walking down the streets of Jerusalem, Bethlehem, a lot of the Mary Magdalene, Yeshua kind of experiences. And then from there it expanded. Paramahansa Yoganati, the Blissful Mother. Oh, she's one of my favorites. One of the things I learned from Paramahansa Yoganati is there's so many different gurus and so many sages. And if we literally just ask the Blissful Mother, if you want more joy in your life, connect with the Blissful Mother she's talked about in Paramahansa Yoganati. And then being able to connect with the different ascended masters. Babaji's huge. I remember one time Gandhi came in and he kissed my forehead, and I was like, why did he just kiss my forehead? And then I realized, I asked, like, does he do that? And they're like, yeah, he went around doing that. I was like, cool. I remember when the gods and goddesses started coming in. So for instance, and I was raised as a Christian. So, and I was kind of oblivious to the world around me. So when I first started channeling Oshun, this goddess, I was like, who are you? What's your name? Where are you from? And it sounds so silly, but I didn't realize there was gods and goddesses in other parts of the world, right? Because I was just oblivious. I was sheltered. So when I realized Oshun was actually a god and goddess in more of the African cultures, I was like, oh, it's real. Like, I didn't even know that existed. And so that really solidified for me all the things I was channeling. There's so much I was channeling that just was out there that I didn't know about. From there, it went into the star seeds, the Pleiadians. So that's kind of how or who I channel. And then how I channel, it started out with shape shifting, is what I call it. It's physical, like moving my body physically. So that's kind of how I teach people to begin with. It's channeling energy through your whole body. As you're doing that, for me, it's like acting out a game of charades with your guides, right? Why are my hands going up? Oh, I'm raising something higher. You know, why do my hands go to the heart chakra and it looks like a dove coming out? Oh, look at the light worker, right? Oh, why do my hands go like this? That looks like, you know, Mother Mary praying and Jesus praying. I was like, oh, that's the Sacred Heart, right? And as these kind of language was built with my guides and my body moved, I would kind of get an inner knowing, right? Oh, that's the Sacred Heart. And then I would ask my guides through muscle testing, is that what I'm actually doing, the Sacred Heart? And they'd be like, yes. Like, oh, okay. And that curiosity, that childlike innocence and curiosity, what's this? What's next? What does this do? Helped me understand what was going on. From there, auditory came in, and then visuals. So I actually teach people how to get more visuals and do some scrying and that kind of stuff. So that's kind of how it works for me.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. We'll probably hear a little bit more. But DeArah, I would love to, we're going to put the spotlight on you. And it's been wonderful. I want to say, by the way, many of you joined DeArah for her beautiful talk that she gave Monday morning for Interfaith Spiritual Awareness Week. And it was a beautiful, beautiful talk. So you've been on the show a couple times and you gave a great talk. So you're coming out more and more and more, and I'm grateful for that. And what would you like to share about how you work with your multidimensional self?
Thank you, Scott. Hello, everybody. It's coming out of the spiritual closet. We are very, very moved. It's so good to get to know you, Desirea, and wonderful listening to our other presenters, our other Ds. And I was making some notes while we were sharing because I was like, well, what story do I tell? They're all so good and diverse. So I started making notes chronologically. So one of the first things I remembered, I was probably first grade and in the classroom, and the teacher asked a question, and we were studying science, and I don't remember the exact detail, but the teacher asked a question and I gave an answer that I knew was truth. And the whole class, including the teacher, laughed at me because it was probably, so far into the future, it made no sense. And I remember just being mortified, and I pretty much shut down at that point in sharing with other people. And it was later on when I was helping to develop interns in hypnotherapy, one of the students had a vision and came up to me and said, I just saw this incident she described the incident in the first grade and what happened. And she gave me other information. And that really helped to heal that wound about sharing my true authentic self. And, back then when I was young, I used to just lie in bed and I would make my stuffed animals. Like I would think about my stuffed animals moving. And then I was like, did that really just move? And so I was like, not even believing what I was seeing with my own eyes, because, like we've said, it's so out of the box. And then I started playing with, we used to have pull down shades and you had that little ring on a string. I used to make that go back and forth. And, so that was, me in my own little world. Well, a few years later, I woke up one morning, and again, I'm probably, elementary school. And I woke up and I heard the phone ring, and I knew that my grandmother had passed. And I went out into the kitchen and I, my mom was on the phone, and that's exactly what had happened. And I remember it kind of scared me. And of course I couldn't talk to her about it. But that was really, really the beginning of it involving other people. shortly after that, I had an experience where my grandfather came to me in a dream, and he was saying goodbye to me, and then he kept like falling in the bushes, and I kept pulling him out like, no, no, and he kept falling back in. And there was more to the dream, but I woke up in the morning and I said, Mom, you've got to go see Grandpa. And she's like, I was just there 2 weeks ago. I said, you've got to go. And I had to like argue with her about this a little bit. And so sure enough, she went, and a couple days later he passed. I didn't plan on telling stories about my mom, but I can kind of feel her around, so I'll tell this one about her dog. So, and I am watching the time because I know we've got a lot more, and I have a lot more stories. So we're driving in the car, and I'm in the front seat, her dog's in the back, and all of a sudden I felt nauseous. And one of the things that you learn to do as an empath is you learn to differentiate when it's your symptoms or feelings and when it's someone else's. And the way I started to notice that there's almost like an echo around it when it's not yours. And there's a way that you go in and you check your body, and then you realize it's not there, and it's not you. And so I was like, okay, I definitely feel nauseous. It's not me, because I know my body's not going to throw up. And I said, Mom, Charlie's going to get sick. And she's like, oh, it's just you, Deb. And I said, no, really, he's going to get sick. And again, I argued. And sure enough, a couple minutes down the road, we hear him get sick in the back seat. So after that, I think my mom started listening a little bit more.
Yeah.
So, it's not easy growing up as a young one when you're awake and you've got your gifts and no one to share it with. And that's, so much of the reason why I started working with kids and talking about spirituality and all that stuff. A couple other experiences, I realized this is as a young adult when I started commuting to work. I realized that the crows were communicating with me about time. And I started working with them, and I could tell from how many were there, the insistency of their voices, the urgency, how quickly they were cawing, like if I needed to hurry and get in the car to go to work, or if I had more time to wait. And then I realized they started coming and telling me when someone was coming to the house to visit. So just developed this amazing relationship with Kronos, with crows. So, when you're experiencing these kind of things, it's like was said earlier, trust yourself and believe in yourself. And I'll just tell one more story about shape-shifting that Desirea brought up. I realized that there have been many times when my guardian angels have come to help me and save me. And so there was one time that I made arrangements to meet someone at a local venue. And as I was driving, this like small green gremlin car, like just the most innocuous, unscary car you could think of, went by. And this guy was in it, and he didn't look scary either, but all I felt was like fear and unsafe. And it was just this huge thing that I didn't understand. Like, because I looked over and it's like just this like harmless person in this car. Why am I getting this energy? Well, when I got to the venue and met this person, they said something that all of a sudden the bells went off, and I remembered the fear that I felt watching this person drive. And I realized that that was a signal for this moment, and that I needed to get away from this person. And so once we went into the venue, I said, excuse me, and I went to the restroom. And when I was in there, I worked with my guides to actually become invisible. And so I was able to leave the venue without being seen, and got my car and drove away. And later on, I realized that that was one of my guardian angels that shapeshifted into human form, into the gremlin, to warn me. So Those are just a few stories. I have more. I'm doing a lot of mediumship readings now, and we'll probably be offering that, to our whole tribe on Thursday nights coming up soon. So like when Susan put in the chat about the gold miner, I could feel his spirit, and I'd be happy to channel from him for you, Susan, at another time. So don't discount anything like that. There's always more to it than we know.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
And while I've got you on, I just want to remind people that DeArah and several other regulars meet most every night at 6 p.m. for a meditation. And that includes Lynn and Leaf and Dia Therese and Susan Bloomquist. And Lynn and Leaf raised their hand. There they are. I'll add them. I think Dia is here. Yeah, there she is. She was dancing. I liked when you were dancing. You got up and you were moving and grooving. And Sylvia was with us earlier tonight. But I don't think she has her camera on right now. There she is. There's Sylvia. And Susan Bloomquist turned her camera on tonight, which was a wonderful thing. So maybe if she'll turn it back on, we can bring her up again. Susan, are you there? Hello, hello. Well, I see her, but she doesn't have her camera on. Anyway, these mighty seven souls connect for meditation most evenings at 6 p.m. And do any of you want to share a little bit about it so we can invite people? DeArah?
I was waiting for some of my colleagues to unmute so we can hear other voices. Anyone want to share? Dia?
Yes, I'd love to share. This meeting has been my first time that for a year and a half, I've committed to show up. And it's something that it's this buoy out to me, no matter what's happening in my life, that I have a place to go. And we have sometimes I share the Yogananda prayer for the awakening. Lynn and Leaf, they can speak for what they share. And it's a basket for me that we are all held in, and be most welcome for others to join us. Thank you. Scott, he's one of the souls of the seven.
Yes, this is also true. I think here's Sylvia and Darren. I think I saw Susan Bloomquist turn her camera on. There she is. So yeah, if you are interested, maybe Lynn or Leaf or someone, if you could put into the chat box the Zoom room link, so our friends have it, of how people can reach all of you. And Susan, is there anything you'd like to add about the evening meditation group?
Oh, sure. Well, we meet every night, and it's very simple. There's a little song in the beginning and a prayer, and then we do 10 minutes of quiet meditation, and that's very nice. And then we close with another prayer and a song, and that's it. And it usually takes 20 minutes. But we've been doing it a long time, and it's a nice group, and people come, people go, and it's just very low key, very easy.
Beautiful, 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 beautiful.
Thank you, Sylvia, for posting the link for our meditation group. It's right there above George Noble's ask for it. Basically, we meet at 7 o'clock, and within the first 5 minutes, 6 o'clock, 6 o'clock Pacific time.
7 o'clock Mountain time.
We, in the first 5 minutes, say hello to each other, discuss any intentions that we need to put into the meditation period that we're going to conduct. Then Lynn or Sylvia offers an opening song, and Dia or myself will read the prayer for meditation, for awakening. We'll do 10 10-minute silent time for those meditations to manifest out. And then I'll follow up with a rendition of the Lord's Prayer translated into the Essene version, and really enjoy the message that comes through on that. And then we'll have a closing song. And as Susan said, it takes us about 10 minutes or 15 to 20 minutes. And for those of us that get together, it's quite powerful
It
in
really is.
healing the day's difficulties and recentering us so we can go into our evening and then rest peacefully. Thanks for letting us share.
Absolutely. Thank you for doing that. And I hope more of our people will participate, and I'll try and jump in more often.
And
myself.
Scott, may I say one more thing?
Of course.
Yes, sometimes DeArah, as I call her, she does a full meditation, and we're all woven together in this great beauty of love and life. So I so love that when she's there.
Well, I'm glad you haven't mentioned that, because we're going to conclude tonight. The very, 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 very last thing tonight is going to be DeArah doing one of her special DeArah long meditation blessing, take us into another world experiences. So we're going to close tonight's show with that. But there's still have another Omashar song. And we also actually have right now, speaking of prayer, I want to dedicate tonight's prayer time to our beloved friend, Pookie Lee. I'm sure all of you that are in the Zoom room remember Pookie. She's been on the show many, many times often with her partner, Bob. And unfortunately, Pookie had an accident. She suffered a severe injury. She broke 3 bones around her ankle and another one in her leg. Imagine how difficult that is for someone like her who's a dancer. And so I'm going to ask that tonight we consider donating to her GoFundMe, which of course I'm going to do that. And let me get here's the link. So here's the link, and I'm putting into the chat box for all of you. And for those of you watching the recording or watching on Facebook or YouTube, just go to GoFundMe. And if you put in Pookie Lee, boom, she'll pop right back up for you. And that's where you can see she has a $20,000 goal. We're about halfway there, not quite half yet. So let's all please contribute green energy to Pookie Lee. But in this moment, let's start with some prayer energy. So I'm going to go to gallery view and invite you, turn on your cameras. And let's just all remember how much we love Pookie Lee and her bright, joyful spirit that she is. And let's send maximum grace to Pookie Lee. Maximum grace to Pookie Lee. Maximum grace to Pookie Lee. Thank you, everyone. And I'm going to put the spotlight on our beloved Omashar. And I have 3 requests for Omashar. 1, to share with us, because you actually had a little contact with Pookie Lee. Tell us about that. 2, your multidimensional experience that you're willing to share. And then 3rd, blessing us with an Omashar song.
Cool. Well, yes, I was on a Unity Earth call today earlier, and they are all in Missouri, Illinois, Missouri. Anyway, somewhere by the Mississippi. Sorry?
Missouri.
Yes, Missouri. I say it that way because I don't want any misery to be anywhere. And they're having an amazing time down there called Fields of Healing. Unity Earth as a group of 30 or 40 Unity Earth people. And they're at Unity Village at the moment. And we had a call from there. It was beautiful. And during the call, Pookie Lee came on, and she was beside herself for not having to be able to be with all of her family in her hometown because of a busted leg. And but she was celebrating the fact that it had really brought her into herself, and that she was finding out that it was actually a reset for her, not just resetting the foot, but a complete reset, because it's going to be almost 6 months before she'll have full mobility again. And as Scott said, as a dancer, it's pretty tragic to suddenly be unable to dance or even move. I know that she had tickets to go to Burning Man, and she's ended up with, I don't know, 20 or 30 grand bill instead from the surgical procedures. And so anyway, it was good to see her. She was in great spirits. She's obviously gone through the mill, and she's come to a place within herself where she realizes this is what the universe is asking of her, knocking her right into you're now completely immobile, and what are you going to do with that? And she has taken it to be, well, this is going to be a reset for my life, and I know I'm going to rise and be even more awesome than I already am. And so that was good to hear from her. And the metaphysical, multidimensional chat, I don't know, I have had many multidimensional experiences in my life, and I won't go too deep into them because we'll be here for probably eternity. But when I was my favorite thing when I was growing up, I read a lot. But before I got into spiritual books, I always used to read books about ghosts, and I used to love reading about ghosts. And then the first iteration that I have of things beyond the veil was my grandmother had two daughters, my mum and her sister, and her sister got tragically killed by a truck who ran over her bicycle. And she said to me that about an hour before she heard from the hospital that her daughter had passed, her daughter actually walked through the wall. This is an atheist woman who absolutely has no inkling of life outside of this human form. But she said to me that she came and walked through the wall, and she knew in that moment that her daughter had passed. And I thought that was an amazing thing. But this was a good seeding for an Omashar. And and then two more things. Another quick thing was my father, who died, passed away, whatever. His body left him. He's still around. Died about a decade ago. And literally about 10 minutes before I was supposed to have a phone call with him, he was in hospital. I felt his spirit walk through my body. Push, and I said to my friend at the time, my father just died. And then 10 minutes later, my brother rang up and said, Dad just left the planet, different verbiage, because he just died. And so there's these confirming things that seem to be like ABC for us here, because we already know about multidimensional realities and life off planet the other. But the other experience that I had, which is really defining for me, which is really important now, is that is the knowledge. I was in a meditation group, and this was in New Zealand when I used to live in New Zealand. And New Zealand for me was an absolutely magical place. It seeded my awakening, and I was in a group of meditators in an octagon on some sacred land in the North Island of New Zealand. And we were deep in meditation. I walked into the group. They'd already been meditating for about an hour, and I walked in late and sat down and started meditating. And I had my hematite in my hand, and something that I've had forever as a grounding stone. And the field was set inside this meditation circle. There was about 20 people in a circle. And I basically went inside and my being and closed my eyes and started meditating. It was easy to slip in because the field was already there. And I saw this torch light, flashlight for you Americans, shining in my head. And I heard a voice in the back of my head, and it said, "Follow the light." And I thought, okay, duh. and I was following this flashlight up into my brain, and I came to this what seemed to be like a glass ceiling or a veil, and it said, now, the voice said to me, okay, now let go of Omashar, let go of yourself. And I thought, well, that's interesting, but I was in such a heightened state of being that I did. I let go of myself. I had no sense of self, but suddenly I felt connected to everything, and I felt 1,000,000% more than myself. I felt more alive and more present than I ever had, ever. Without a body, without any moniker like Omashar, any touchstone. And so why it's important for me now is because it was an actual, almost physical memory that I have. And now that we are on this 2025 is in a major awakening push for all of us on the planet today. If we are facing the light and facing that within ourselves, which is not to be carried forward anymore. And so I have a touchstone. I have a touchstone of actually feeling what it's like to not have a body and still exist and feel connected to everything. And so that is my my story for now, Scott, I think. And with that, I'm thinking we do a song, right?
Well, first of all, thank you for sharing. And you know, it takes courage for everybody to share these stories. And the whole point really is to make it safe for everybody watching and listening, that the experiences you've had, no matter how outrageous, how strange, how different, you know, they all have credence. As John Lilly said, everything exists with the degree with which it's imagined. And
it's true. And even as I say it, it's not so strong these days, but maybe a year or two ago, if I had tried to share a story like this to an audience, to anybody, there's voices in my head saying they're already poo-pooing you and putting you down. And as I was saying earlier, I've yet to find my tribe out in the world that I can actually speak this openly and share this with. And the only tribe I have is the 2 or 3. Number one is the Awakening World family, because I know we're all listening. And we have created, or you initiated it with DeArah, and then we've created a group container. And all we have to do is slip into it, and we're already more than we are individually. And with that, we can see through each other's eyes and feel through each other's experiences. And the lifting becomes rather easy, you know, rather than having to push it up. We can use one finger, well, the right finger, of course. And
oh, beautiful. You know, before we go actually into the Omashar song, I'll give you a moment. I want to bring DeArah and Desirea back up one more time. DeArah at the very end, after his song, I'll turn it over to you for your big, magical, amazing experience. But I wanted to see if either of you have any other thoughts that you wanted to share before we kind of wrap up tonight's show. Desirea, go ahead.
Yep, I'll go ahead. I just was thinking about everything that we were saying, and I really thought about, you know, how we talked about stepping into our true, authentic self. I can tell you from my personal experience, the amount of drama and trauma that I had in my younger years and my early adulthood was, I lived lifetimes within this lifetime. And that being said, it wasn't until I remember one day looking around and going, no more. This is not okay anymore. I'm going to do whatever it takes to make me happy. And at that point in my life, I had lost everything. Everything I dreamed about since I was a little girl, everything I had built. And I was like, what am I going to do? And I just started doing those things that brought me joy. The other thing I began to do was facing my fears. It is so funny. The very first time I laid on a Reiki table, there was all these, you know, I'm an adult, right? There's all these women who came around and they placed their hands on me and they go, you're scared of the dark. And I had to admit to all these women, I was like, yes, I am scared of the dark. And so it was facing each one of those fears going, it's okay. You know, and I would call in my guides and I would ask before I even went somewhere if I was scared, and I would say, is it okay? Am I safe? And my guides would literally, you know, do the muscle testing and push me forward, and they go, it's okay. And I'm okay, now I'm okay. And slowly, as I did that over time, I'm releasing those fears. I'm bringing in that joy to my life. And that's really what started to transform me. And I began to change my perspective into like, instead of, you know, like woulda, coulda, shoulda, it was like, I'm going to create. This is what I want, and I'm going to draw it near me. And I think that was huge. And that authentic part of me that I said, I understand what I'm seeing. Well, maybe not always understand, but I know what I saw. I know what I experienced. Nobody can take that away from me. And as I began to fully listen to what brought me joy, brought me happiness, and I stepped into those things that I really gravitated towards with my energy and let go of those fears, those worries, those limiting beliefs that held me back from doing what I authentically needed to do, that's when that inner peace really came. And that's where those channeling really opened up. And that's where I could be that person I needed to be so I could show other people it's okay to do weird stuff. If you want to wear feathers in your hair, wear feathers in your hair. If you need to twirl around 3 times to clear the energy as you're walking through Walmart, go for it, right? They're probably going to take pictures of you. You'll probably be famous on the internet, but not know it. That's okay, right? And as we just step into the authentic self and release those fears, that's where the true magic happens, and you'll start seeing so much. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Beautiful advice spoken from your experience, which is the best. Thank you. I so appreciate you, Desirea, for all the ways you contribute to our show. And your tears right now are beautiful. They're really beautiful. All right. Well, I think then we will go to Omashar for a closing song, and then DeArah has a very special experience for us.
It was interesting in the chat. Connie just put Follow Your Bliss by Joseph Campbell, of course, and then Just Do It with Nike. And then I Googled Nike, and Nike was a Greek goddess, and Nike. And so he chose well with that name because he's now a trillionaire, Nike dude. But anyway, let's look at the origins of Nike, and that was a Greek goddess. You can just check it out. I had to push through about 10,000 pages of where you can buy Nike. So anyway, this is a song I haven't played forever, and it's called Shine On, and we shall see how we go. Let's get some dancers up because it's got a little rocking beat behind it.
When time has run its course and the earth has changed her song, the light that shines will be you and me. No chance of turning back, nowhere to hold on to. Days were growing cold, the way they used to be. We wondered, would we make it on through? And now with open hearts, to turn the tide. We are the light, we bring the truth. Oh, so shine on and shine on. Together we will be the brightest sun. Shine on and shine on for everyone to see that we are one. Living sun. The day has now arrived, so wipe away those tears and take a look at what you've become. There's love surrounding you, no need to hide yourself. Your brand new life has just begun. Oh, so shine on and shine on. Together we will be the brightest sun. Shine on and shine on for everyone to see that we are one. Living sun, we are one. So shine on and shine on. Together we will be the brightest sun. Shine on and shine on for everyone to see that we are one. And we'll shine on into eternity.
Big twinkles to Omashar. And thank you to all of our wonderful dancers.
And that rocks. I'm glad for that.
Absolutely.
I lost my voice, but hey.
Well, you kept it long enough. And hey, everybody, one more time, a reminder. We can support Omashar by going to Bandcamp, omashar.bandcamp.com for all of his recordings.
And you can go to Omashar Music on YouTube and see my latest song, which is called something or other. I Am You, that I've just pimped out and made a video yesterday. The whole project, one 5-minute song and a video took over 50 hours. And so on this Saturday, I know we're going to have some show announcements soon, which I believe is a Making Contact show. I'm going to put a link for everybody who comes into the Zoom room to have the song professionally studioed for free. I'll give you, I'm going to give it as a gift because, hey, that's how we roll.
Well, thank you. And I am on your YouTube channel. And which one do you want, are we looking at?
Well, no, you need to go to Omashar Music, somewhere there.
I'm in Omashar Music. What's the title of the new one?
It's called I Am You. I uploaded it earlier and it does play. Keep going. Maybe it's there. There it is on the top.
There it is. I Am You. Okay, here it is.
It's absolutely awesome. So check that out after. And I had such fun doing it. And yeah, so I'll give away the actual track that I spent 45 hours recording, finished 3 or 4 days ago on Saturday. So turn up on Saturday, and if you're on YouTube or Facebook or our streaming partners, join the club.
Beautiful. There's a lot of comments coming in. People have already been listening to I Am You. So there you have it. And thank you, Omashar. I love you much. And yes, as Omashar said, on Saturday night, it's another edition of Making Contact. And we're going to have all of our old buddies with us. Alan Steinfeld will co-host, Danny Sheehan, Steve Bassett, JJ and Desiree Hertok, and of course, our beloved John Martin will all be with us, as well, of course, as Omashar and myself. There's a lot of really exciting new information. We are getting very, 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 very close to government disclosure. And meanwhile, while we wait for the government, which is a little bit slow, there's a lot to share. So join us on Saturday night for another edition of Making Contact. And we are now going to make contact with DeArah, who is going to bless us the beautiful, beautiful experience.
Thank you, Scott. Ooh, okay, everybody. So make yourselves comfortable. Attend to any biological needs, and just feeling hearts beginning to open. I'm feeling curiosity. I'm feeling people settling into the space. I'm going to go to gallery view because I like to look and deliver into each and every square whatever comes through for you individually as well as collectively. And so just continuing to follow your breath. We're all experienced at being able to drop in and drop down. And if you have things that you need to be doing, you can maintain the energy level that was just brought to us by Omashar. If you are in a place where you can just let go and allow the energy and the sound of my voice to take you deeper and deeper, feel free to do that. Feel free to drop off into a deep rest. Feel free to be speaking to your guides, to your higher self. And so with multidimensionality, all these things can happen at the same time. All these ways of being conscious and then dropping into deeper states and deeper states and deeper states. And so as you're checking in on the energy that's being offered, on the energy that's coming through, just allow yourself to keep falling into that right place for you. And just taking another deep breath in, you might want to reposition yourself in your seat or let your shoulders drop down. You may even want to turn off any devices if you're ready to go deep and then drop away. I'm also calling in healing energy into this prayer meditation, this activation. So feel yourself expanding, receiving this energy coming through. And at the same time that you're expanding, you can also feel yourself deepening and dropping down and deepening and dropping down. And with this healing energy, bringing this light and love deep into every cell, deep into every bit of the marrow, deep in the bone, allowing the neutrons to become activated to your particular frequency. And while all that's occurring, allowing anything to be whisked away, you might even feel the gentle pressure, just brushing off anything that you've collected, anything that you're ready to let go of. You may experience this as an actual sensation on the outside of your body. You may experience this just thinking about the words that are being said. The body, the mind, the spirit knows exactly what to do with this information, exactly what to do with the energy that's coming through. And while those of you that are resting and going deeper continue to do so, just taking anything other than that and pulling it out of your energy field, any frenetic energy, any worry, any concern, anything that we might attribute to feeling anxious. And some of that is even excitement as you're experiencing these sensations. And so allowing yourself to go deeper and deeper now if you choose to. While those of you who are ready to go up and out may do that as well. And I'm calling in galactic energies to add to the grounding energies coming up from the earth, from the elementals, from the trees, from the fields, connecting with the stars and the heavens, with you as that divine rod in between, allowing your crown chakra to open even more, allowing the base of your spine to open, especially in the back. Breathing in, dropping that energy down. Again, releasing any tension, any fear, any concern, and just breathe that out. Feeling your feet, connecting in whichever way you're facing, noticing those landlines coming up to meet you where you are. Continuing to process this, continuing to pull energies down and through, releasing and removing. And allowing yourself to receive deep healing,
You want to come out?
deep comfort, and just notice the joy that's present with whatever's happening. It's so amazing how we can hold the space and then allow for our 3D experiences to occur at the same time. Many of us have become masters at open-eyed meditation, going deep in or up and out while keeping eyes open, being able to access all those fields, all those dimensions, while attending to what's in front of us. And you can practice this now if you like, with your eyes open, just letting them go soft. Letting yourself go deeper into your own inner experience. And just feeling the energy of the collective experimentation with your own energy fields. Noticing any shifts in the room. Noticing any changes in light. Noticing any changes in the frequencies around you. And taking in another deep breath and breathing in with all the cells of your body. Breathing in through your arms and your back and your legs, your entire body opening and breathing in now. Breathing in this accentuated oxygen, this accentuated lifeline. And if you start to feel dizzy, you can slow this down. If you start to feel shaky, you can place your hands on your legs and just press your legs into the ground. And just allowing yourself to experience this expansion of self. Feeling the silence accentuate. Feeling the silence deepen. And you can picture this gathering as a beautiful ball of light, with the light going brighter and brighter as we send our love out from this central sun that we have created in this moment. Sending our love and light out to the larger tribe, out to our families, our cities, our towns, all around the globe and beyond. And as we send this light out, notice the light that's returning to meet it. Almost as if the light from the heavens meets the light of the earth and that beautiful seal around the globe. And we are healing our atmosphere. We are healing that beautiful rim of safety around this beautiful planet that we call home. And we can feel the galactics assisting us from the other side. We see them weaving, 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 repairing holes. And just breathe this in, knowing that it's being done. In this beautiful container we've created, place in the center your own healing desires, your own prayers now, knowing that they're activated, they're expanded, amplified. And while that's continuing, notice at the same time how these beautiful healing energies are coming into you and they're activating your dormant gifts. Moving up through the spine, up through the pineal, down and around. Notice these beautiful energies moving in and through you. And again, clearing away anything in the physical body that this can push out. Just clearing away anything in the physical body, replacing it with this love and light coming in, this beautiful energy, again, aligning to your own frequency, your own individual pattern. And again, working down from the ground as we begin to close this beautiful session. Just imagine yourself on this beautiful pedestal of light and love and sound, receiving all the colors, all the invisible light, all the sounds. And for those of you that want to stay in this beautiful deep space, just continue to stay here and allow yourself to drop off and go even deeper. Those of you that need to come up to a more waking state of being, just allowing yourself to gently begin to do that and stay in that space of consciousness that's right for you and what you have in front of you. And for those of you needing to come back into full consciousness, just allow yourself to connect when you're ready to open eyes if they're closed, and connect with yourself first. And then with soft eyes, the room. And then when you're ready to connect with others as well. And many blessings, so much love. Thank you, sister, for this beautiful work together. Thank you, Scott, for everything tonight and this week. So it is.
Thank you, DeArah. So beautiful. And thank you, Desirea. You two are quite the team. You're two of the D's, and then sometimes we add Dia. Tonight we added Denea, rhymes with Renee. So thank you both so very much. Well, what a show, what a night, what a beautiful global peace drive we get to be a part of. Big thanks, of course, to Omashar, who makes all things happen. Thank you, my beloved brother. And thank you, of course, to Mirabai and Denea and to all of you. Everybody note a new email address for the Wild Monk of the Mystic Monastery, Jerry Anderson. Also, Scotty Satori has put some wonderful things into the Global Peace Tribe Messenger chat group. Hopefully you're all part of that. If you're not, ask to join it. Also, if you missed it, the wonderful video of Vivian Chauvet that premiered on Monday was great. So go back and watch that if you missed it. And it's just wonderful how all of us are awakening in our own wonderful, wonderful ways. It's very, very beautiful. So thank you, everybody. I'm going to go to gallery review one last time. And hopefully we'll see all of you on Saturday night. Oh, I love it. People are turning on their things. Hello, Mark Janisowski. Mark, take a look at the private message I sent you. And oh my gosh, lots going on in the chat box. Very uplifting and enlightening show. I agree, it was. And thank you, everybody. I love our community, and I love how we're all learning and getting to know each other and connecting. Thank you, Roger and Bonnie. You're the ones who let me know about Pookie Lee. Thank you for your reminder on that. Connie Baxter Marlowe, the trust frequency is the answer to how to live life in the highest way. And much love to each and every one of you. Thanks for being with us. I hope to see you on Saturday night. Take care, everybody.